You catch me on any weekend or after work, and I'm likely driving my kids somewhere. I'm doing something for their activities, sports, kung fu practice, science camp, whatever. And I've been taking this radio with me for about a year, at least as long as it's been out. This is the Elecraft KH-1. We've talked about this in the past. One of the things that makes this really nice is that this is the whole unit. You can log on the fly. You can use this for doing Morse code. It's a really handy dad radio. The downside of it is that on the body of the radio itself, you really only get 20, 17, and 15 meters, which is still fine during most days, but I'm often in a situation where I'm towards the evening, it's after work, we're already 3 hours earlier than the East Coast, so it's likely things have moved off to 40 meters. Adam K6ARK has come up with an ingenious device. It is a coil, a micro coil, that you can use with the KH-1, and this should get you down to 40 meters without having to buy the AX1 40 meter add-on, which is another big long coil. This is much smaller, but it should give you all the capability and more bands than just this has internally. Setting this up is pretty easy. You just take off the antenna, add your coil, follow his directions to the letter, please. Otherwise, this is not going to work very well for you. And then once this is attached, put your whip back on. Now, from Adam's instructions, if you want to do 40 meters, you're going to pinch the little outer ring here and slide this all the way down so most of these coils are activated. So we've added the short to include all of these little loops because this is not a very long whip. With the coil connected, I'm going to take the little ring on the outside. I'm going to slide this all the way until I hear the most noise. You're going to pick that up off the speakers, or if you're using earbuds, it's going to be a lot better for you. Switch this to 20 meters and then hit the tune button. Let's see what we get. Now, Adam says he can use this without the radial. I don't know that I'm as daring as he is, but he's a much better CW operator too, so you might want to give that a shot. Let's see what it sounds like on the air and see if we can find some activity. Well, 40 is a little quiet, so I'm going to cut the difference. I'm going to go up and just going to cut it here and see if we can actually split it. So change band again, up. Yow. It's an S3 noise. Let's see if we can find that guy. 10113. Sadly, it's a little too early in the day for 40 meters, and 30 for that matter. There's just not that many spots out. So I'm going to try to slide down to 20 and see what we got going on. Now, obviously, this whip is not a 20-meter whip. And yes, it will tune to 20 just internally with the radio with what they got going on. But by adding the coil, we can get down to 20 as well. So just below the top here, we change bands again down to 20. Let's see who we got on 20. I think he got me. Don't know why my side tone's not working. What the heck's going on there? That's crazy. That was easy. It is my recorder that's causing that audio problem, so now I know. I can still work with it, but that's not fantastic. Let's see if we can find somebody else. So what I can't say for sure is obviously this This radio will tune 20 meters when you just have the whip attached to the body. I can lower this down to 17 and then see if that tunes up. It does. The coil does add wire, so you're adding length, but you're also adding Q, right? The more you add coils, inductance, you're gonna bring in that salad bowl shape into a more steep V. So you're probably gonna have to ATU a lot. This is kind of me just showing something off that I think is really cool that Adam continues to work on and show stuff. By the way, if you're watching this still, this is available on printables along with the whole collection of things that Adam has created over there that you can download for free. So check them out. And yes, that even includes the 3D prints for his kits that he sells over on Amazon and on his website. Let's even find something else fun. Potentially a California station. Oh, I think this radio's off tune. Oh no, this is it, 47. That's two. So that was WD5GRW. That's cool. All right, so that's enough for the fun here. If you'd like to see how to make this, I have a quick how-to that I'll splash in right now. It's a fun little project, particularly if you have this radio, but I'm not uncertain that you might not be able to use this with other smaller QRP radios. You might be able to modify it somehow to make it work, but again, really cool idea from Adam. So let's go check out the build. Now, I think this is a pretty easy kit. The 3D printed parts are the cap, the spool bit, and then the ring. And you can, yes, it's oblong. It's like an oval, right? So keep that in mind. But I'm going to repurpose a coil that I had here with some 26 gauge magnet wire. Instructions say we're going to start here and we're going to feed in through that hole. But the hole and the wire, you need to strip the wire of all the enamel on it. And so I happen to have a little couple of Knipex strippers here. Now, the gauge covering for these guys is much wider than this wire, but if you kind of go off angle, they'll actually close around it pretty well. So that's what I do, and then I just pull it, and this works pretty good. Actually, this was a recommendation from somebody in the chat a long time ago when we were doing the last build. They're like, hey, check out the Knipex strippers for enamel wire, and I gotta say, it works well. Looks like we got pretty close to all of it off. All right, then following the instructions, we are going to pass the wire through. There it is, I can see it. And it calls for M4 screws and M4 threaded insert brass heat set inserts. These are going to be needed for the base plug, which we're going to set in place with a soldering iron put on top of this little plug, and it's going to melt the PLA around it and make a nice firm connection. So let's get into our M4 screws here. Whenever I open the pack, I just kind of dump the screws into it for whatever I was working on. So you, last one out of the bag, you make it onto the kit. Congratulations, you made it. And you are the last one, so you are making it into the kit. Congratulations. So back to it, we're going to feed the wire in. Actually, I think we need to get the screw through there. So let's find a appropriate tool. So what I'm doing here is just making sure it threads more than anything. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Let's take our wire. And my goal here is to actually hit it with the screw, hopefully, to push it up a little bit into where the nut will get it. Or not. What if we put a little bend? Yeah, okay, we got it through. The wire is now in between the threads and the 3D print. We can take our screw at this point and line it up. Actually, let's do this a different way. I'm going to wrap the wire around the screw, then add the nut. Okay, I pushed the nut in place. Now I'm going to pass the screw through the nut. Don't want to tighten it down too much. You'll crack the... Bro, we just broke the wire. Man, I just broke the wire. Now I gotta undo this whole thing again. Oh my god. Good. Come here. Is there a particular order that Adam recommends spooling this thing? Yes, this way. The big faux pas you want to avoid here is overlapping the wire. So just go really slow. Take a ton of time and just dress the wire as you go along, just making sure it's tightly pressed. And obviously hold the tension to it. Oh, we got a kink. We got a kink. Unkink those things. Do not let the wire kink. We're almost at the end here. Maybe 2 wraps, 1 and 2. Yep. Okay, let's cut a little piece extra here. Nope, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. And then it goes back through. Oh boy, did I make it long enough? Uh-oh. And then back through the first hole. Something like that. Probably could have got another loop on there, but it's fine. Okay, there's your coil. Boy, that is small, huh? Next, we got to apply the heat nut. I think I've only done one of these before in my entire life, so this will be a fun little thing, but it's flat on one end and knurled on the other end. So I think you go, yeah, it sits. Okay, perfect. So I think the idea is you just apply heat to it with an iron and kind of push down. And this is with a 650 Fahrenheit iron. It's going. Wow, that's cool. That was pretty cool. You see that, Ben? We use the power of heat to apply the nut. Well, it did. It the nut got hot. Ooh, it's still hot, and pushed into the plastic, and it's got knurls on it, so it seated itself tightly around the rest of the plastic. That's pretty cool. I'm going to use white wire. Adam uses black because his whole coil's black, but you know I like a little bit of color, so I'm going to make my wire about that long. And then we're supposed to wrap the wire around the notches here. And he said that tweezers help. So I'm gonna start it like that. And I want it to go the other way because I like to twist this way. Okay, so there's the first couple of twists. I'll get my needle nose in here now. That's pretty tight. And then take the remaining bits and wrap it around the loop. Now, if some of you are watching this, you're thinking to yourself, oh, you're going to solder onto PLA? Yes, sir, we are. Now, he says to do the soldering very quickly. Yeah, no kidding. So
Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go. We're gonna try it, but I'm worried about this one. I do have the iron set to 650. I normally am a 750 kind of guy, but today we're going a little light. So I'm gonna go very fast. I'm gonna apply heat, barely even touching the wire. Oh, PLA started to melt almost instantly. Wow, that was crazy. Yep, started going right through it. That is the most challenging bit right there. You see that thing started to fold over? You have to stop immediately and let it dry. That's it. I'm done. I'm not messing with that anymore. Ah, now a fun part. We get to sand the coil. So we have to sand this, or else you can't make a connection, right? The little slider won't fit. It won't do anything because there's enamel on here. Yet another thing you should be buying at Harbor Freight: super glue in these small little containers. Because inevitably, I don't use super glue enough to run out of a standard size container. Throw it out, get another one. Like, I don't, oh, did that already just blow everywhere? Jesus. All right, here's the next thing that can ruin the whole project. We're going to use a drill, chuck up the screw side of the coil, and we're going to use some sandpaper, which he recommends 180 to 400 grit, which is quite a range. I have 250, which is kind of splitting the difference here. And this is a little strip I cut, right? Little strip. You don't want to use a lot of this, right? You really want to be in control. So I'm going to hold it like this, and we're going to start it slowly. Oh, it's not completely. What happened there? No, we got a little funky coil here. All right, I'm gonna try to work with it the best I can. I may have to do a little hand cleaning. Oh. I'm seeing some copper coming through. I'm not applying much pressure, particularly when fast. Woo! Looks like one got a little proud there. A lot of uneven wear over here. All right, let me get a alcohol wipe and clean this off. All right, little isopropyl alcohol. Looks like we still missed a lot of spots, but we can test this, of course. We should test it. Plenty of spots. Probably good enough. All right, next spot. A little bit fussy. So we are going to apply the coil, or the... Yep. Oh, yeah. There's your controlling arm. And we need to line that up here with the slot, is where that's going to go in. So we're going to go right there to the slot. And the wire's going to go like that. Ooh, this wire's a little too fat. Okay. Good to know. Bingo, bango. What's going to happen is we're going to solder on to the little nut right there, and then this whole thing's going to get glued closed. Okay, so I did make it a little, move the shielding so that it can bend freely. That's probably not good for the longevity of this thing, but oh well, it's fine. And if I need to make another one, I can make another one because they're cheap and easy to make. That's about right there. Okay, so I'm going to take my wire, twist it up real good. So top of the coil, into the slot, and then where do we need to be? About right there. Yeah, okay. Here's another hold on to your butt situation with solder and this whole thing. So we're going to apply a little bit of solder kind of at the base here, and then I'm going to get my screw out of there. This guy goes back in here. Like that. This guy we're going to test fit. Perfect. Just like that. And then that way this coil will slide. And we got enough slack on the top. Perfect. Okay, back to the super glue, my friend super glue. It's probably too much super glue. But we are trying to make sure this like stays together really, really tight. Because if you think about it, this little plastic junction here is literally going to be supporting the antenna. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to mess with it. In fact, that's what Adam recommends, is that you leave it to dry for at least an hour.
All right, so some final words on this. Yeah, it works. It tuned up 20, it tuned up 40. I can't comment on the efficiency of it because it's still pretty daylight out here and there's not really any activations going on or any activity that I could hear. We are coming off of a bit of a solar storm situation. Again, I guess I brought it home from Hawaii, but yeah, go check this out. I'll post the link in the video description to Adam's work that he does, all of his projects. They're really cool, highly recommended. If you want to start out 3D printing any of Adam's stuff, I highly recommend you check out his wire winders. They are fantastic. Anyway, thanks Adam for producing a cool little piece of kit. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Josh KI6NAZ. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It's free. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and thanks a lot for watching. 73.